In 2006, Holden unveiled a car that would cost over $1 billion Australian to create, more than any project in the company's history. It was called the VE Commodore, and unlike every Commodore before it, this one wasn't borrowed from Europe. It was designed, engineered, and tested entirely on Australian soil. Critics gave it a nickname that stuck, the billion-dollar baby. For nearly 3 decades, every Holden Commodore had leaned on Opel platforms from Germany, reshaped to suit Australian roads and buyers. The VZ Commodore, released in the early 2000s, was the last of that lineage. Holden's engineers knew a reckoning was coming. Opel was retiring the very platform their cars depended on, and Holden needed a plan for what came next. Instead of shopping for another borrowed platform, Holden made a bold call: build the next Commodore completely in-house. It would be the first Commodore ever developed entirely by Holden in Australia, from the chassis to the sheet metal. Clever engineering choices, like a symmetrical center console with a flush handbrake, were designed specifically to make left-hand drive export versions cheaper to produce. This was a car built for the world, not just for Australia. The story really begins in late 1998, when design chief Michael Simcoe sketched a rakish sedan with a long wheelbase and short overhangs. That single drawing became the blueprint every future designer and engineer would chase. Months later, exterior design manager Peter Hughes turned Simcoe's rough sketch into a clean 2-dimensional image, giving the abstract shape its first real form. By late 2000, Holden's design team had narrowed a wall of concepts down to 8 serious contenders. Through internal voting, that number shrank again to just 4 finalists. Every one of them shared the same aggressive DNA: prominent wheel arches, a muscular stance, and short front and rear overhangs. Full-size clay models were sculpted from each design, turning flat sketches into 3-dimensional reality for the first time. By July 2002, the guesswork was over. Holden committed to a single exterior direction, with only 4 years left before launch and no real-world testing yet completed. The team turned to Autodesk Alias, a computer-aided design program, to refine the shape with precision impossible by hand. The chosen design was sculpted, taken to Holden's Lang Lang proving ground, and placed on the skid pan for designers and directors to study up close and from a distance. Early 2003 brought the design team and engineers together to finalize crucial details. By May, Peter Hughes gave his approval, locking the exterior shape in place. 2 months later, in July 2003, the teams built a final mock-up, a fully transparent model exposing the glasshouse structure beneath the skin. It was proof that concept and engineering had finally converged into one workable car. In 2004, 2 years before the Commodore VE even reached showrooms, Holden revealed a teaser to the public: the Torana TT36 concept car, shown at the Australian International Motor Show in Sydney. It previewed the production Commodore's silhouette and let Holden gauge public reaction before committing further. Some details born on the TT36, including its steering wheel and handbrake lever, were carried straight into the production VE. While designers sculpted the body, engineers faced a harder problem underneath it. Opel had discontinued the rear-wheel drive Omega in 2003, the very platform every past Commodore had relied on. General Motors offered its new Sigma platform, the same architecture destined for the Cadillac CTS. Holden's engineers rejected it outright, judging the rear seat shoulder width too narrow for Australian buyers. So Holden did something few subsidiaries ever get to do: they built their own platform from the ground up. It was called GM Zeta, and it would go on to underpin several future General Motors vehicles worldwide. The VE rode on double-pivot McPherson strut front suspension paired with a 4-link independent rear end. This wasn't a borrowed skeleton anymore, it was Australian-engineered architecture, built for Australian roads first. Across 7 years of development, the VE consumed roughly 1.03 billion Australian dollars and 3.4 million kilometers of testing, more than 8 round trips to the moon. It became Holden's largest and most expensive project in company history. That scale of investment is exactly why the nickname stuck: not just a new car, but a billion-dollar baby, 7 years in the making. On July 13, 2006, production officially began at Holden's Elizabeth facility in South Australia. 3 days later, the VE Commodore made its public debut at the Melbourne Convention Centre, an event broadcast live over the internet for anyone in the world to watch. Sharing the stage that day was Holden's flagship Statesman and Caprice models, launched alongside the new Commodore as part of the same generational leap. The VE arrived first as a sedan, offered in 3 tiers: the everyday Commodore, the mid-range Berlina, and the luxury Calais. Holden had already announced that station wagon and utility versions would wait, with the outgoing VZ filling that gap in showrooms. Holden's performance arm, Holden Special Vehicles, wasted no time, releasing their high-performance variants soon after the sedan's debut. The utility body style, the VE Ute, finally arrived on August 22, 2007, a full year after the sedan. That same year, Holden unveiled a sport wagon concept car, teasing the return of the station wagon body style. The production sport wagon followed in July 2008, sharing its wheelbase with the standard sedan rather than the longer chassis used on previous wagon generations. The gamble paid off almost immediately. Wheels magazine named the VE its 2006 Car of the Year, a major industry endorsement. Throughout its production run, the VE frequently topped the charts as Australia's best-selling car annually, cementing its place not just as an engineering achievement but as a genuine sales phenomenon on home soil. Holden kept refining the VE year after year, with model year updates tweaking colors, trim, and standard equipment. A smaller 3.0-liter V6 engine arrived for entry-level buyers, improving fuel economy. Then in September 2010, Holden introduced the Series 2 update, a noticeable styling revision that kept the aging platform feeling fresh right through to the end of production in 2013. But the VE's story didn't stay confined to Australia. It traveled the globe wearing different badges entirely: the Chevrolet Lumina, the Chevrolet Omega, the Bitter Vero Sport, and even America's Pontiac G8. A car conceived on a design chief sketchpad in Adelaide was suddenly being driven on highways in the Middle East, South America, and the United States. The Holden Commodore VE remains a rare thing, a fully homegrown car built by a small national manufacturer that dared to design everything itself, from platform to panel. It proved Australian engineers could compete with the world's biggest automakers on their own terms. If this billion-dollar gamble surprised you, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden histories behind the cars we thought we already knew.